what's going on YouTube? Today we're going to discuss a question that frequently gets asked a lot, especially if you're starting out, you're an intermediate, or maybe you're an advanced to even semi-pro or professional boxer. And the main question is, what glove, is best for me? Like, what's a good glove to get? What's a good glove to start off with? And for me, I've had many gloves in the past. I've been boxing since I want to say probably like 17. So it's been years now. I never really did it competitively. I did a little bit when I was a lot younger, more like exhibition matches, but I never actually competed like professional or anything like that. But it's a sport that I've always liked, and it's a great exercise that I even still do to this day. So I always mix it in with my weightlifting, with my cardio, or basically any other type of physical activity. Boxing is one of the things that I love to do. And I've had the chance to go through so many types of gloves from different makers, from Everlast, from Grant, from Winning, even from Cleto Reyes, which is one of the best well-known boxing brands. Same thing with Winning, like I said. And the one glove that I've always gone back to, regardless of all the other ones that I've had, it's probably one that you might not even would have thought of that would even make a good boxing glove, and it's actually a Fairtex boxing glove. And this guy right here, this is a BGV9 Fairtex Mexican style boxing glove. And obviously I know what you're thinking, hey man, Fairtex, that's a Muay Thai brand. And you're not wrong. You're right. It is known more as a Muay Thai brand. But this one specifically, this model specifically, is actually made more for Western style boxing, which is more like traditional style boxing, not kickboxing, not Muay Thai, just regular boxing. So the thing about this glove is that it is nicely made. Let's talk about the craftsmanship on this one, the durability. And the stitching on this is superb. It is double stitched. For the most part of all the glove, it has very, very good stitching. Not really any loose ends, no loose threads, and it looks and feels durable when you're actually running your hands through it and you actually get a chance to touch it. The quality of this is actually made of leather, and it's a handmade in Thailand, and it's a leather that they use there. So it's their own type of leather that they harvest in their own country in Thailand. This reminds me more of a mixture between Cleto Reyes leather and Winning leather. And what I mean by that is that Winning gloves, the Japanese brand, their gloves are also made out of leather, but their leather is a bit more shiny, has a nice sheen to it, and is more like soft to the touch. As to Cleto Reyes gloves from Mexico, they have more of a grainy feel. They have a bit more of a texture on the glove. If you run your hands on them, you can kind of feel like the thickness of that leather compared to like a Winning, which is more softer, but it's definitely, it's definitely still durable. This glove definitely does have a nice symmetrical, evened out weight distribution, which I mean that it won't actually, it's not top heavy. It actually, if you hold it out straight, it stays pretty even. It's not loopy. It's not kind of drippy from the front. It's not really super, super top heavy as compared to like Cleto Reyes gloves or even the Winning gloves. They're sometimes, if you hold them kind of straight, they might drag a little bit from the end because they're more top heavy, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's still a good thing because that offers extra protection to your knuckles, especially, that's the one thing that's gonna make more contact either on pads, on the heavy bag, or on sparring if you're gonna fight, if you're practicing with your partner or your team. And that's definitely the main thing because, obviously your hand is your moneymaker in this sport, and you definitely want to protect your hands as well as protect your opponent and your partner at the same time. So the one thing that I really like about this glove is the interior. So the inside has a nice, typical nylon material. It's definitely something that will help evaporate most of the sweat that builds up, especially when it's like a warmer day. And with your wraps on, obviously your hand is going to get a bit clammy. It will get a bit more sweaty. But I mean, that's just part of the game. It's part of the deal. But the one thing that I really like about this glove is that the lining on the inside is very, I guess the best way to describe it is that it's nicely like settled onto the glove itself, kind of like a second skin. It's not like a loose lining where, for example, I had another glove, if I can think of, it was the Leone glove, which is a Italian brand, and the glove is, you know, kind of had the same design as this one, but the lining on the inside was more loose. And what I mean by loose is that it's more like a baggy piece of lining on the inside. So your knuckle, it'll be like, if you know, when you put your hand inside, it feels like you're rubbing against like a loose, I guess, sheet or shirt that's kind of there. It slides back and forth. What's compared to this glove, the whole glove on the inside actually has all the lining kind of stuck to the wall of the glove. So it just feels like one nice hollow shell of a glove. And when you put your hands in, your hands or your wraps is not dragging on anything. It's not pulling on anything. It just sits in there. You grip it, you seal it up, and you're good to go. And that's one, I think, one feature of this glove that's very underestimated, because that makes a huge difference on how long the glove will actually last. And other gloves that have like a looser lining on the inside, sometimes your hand or your punch can get caught when you're throwing like a combination, or you're working on power hooks, or you're working on body shots, and you normally tend to throw more power with those. You use more of your legs, your hips, you're really throwing, you know, more of an impact on that glove. And sometimes if it's loose lining, it can get caught in the knuckles, maybe on your fingers, and you'll start to kind of tear or stretch that part of the lining of the inside of the glove, which can sometimes, you know, it's not really the best thing to happen. And what ends up happening is that the latex or the foam of the glove gets exposed. And then once sweat starts to get in there, obviously your sweat has, you know, salts in it. It'll start to kind of bubble up the latex, or start to really, I guess, moisten that foam, and it can start deteriorating it, at least the quality of it, you know, as the days go by, you know. And also, you know, when the tear happens, it's just going to keep getting bigger and bigger, because you can't really fix those tears since they're all the way deep inside of the glove. It's kind of hard to like get in there and sew it up or anything like that. At that point, you just kind of got to stick it out and just use them while you can. But this glove does a really good job of actually not having that problem. I've never had problems where I've teared the lining on side of this glove. Other gloves, I have done it before, even cheaper gloves. Like I've had an Adidas, I think they were called the Adidas Speed, which is a cheap glove. Well, not the cheapest. I think they were like $80 retail, but I bought it when it was on sale for like 40. So I have 40, anything below $50 for that glove, highly recommend it. But $80, definitely would not recommend it, because the lining on that is not the best, and the glove itself didn't really last that long. But this glove, like I said, has perfect stitching. The leather quality is superb. It's actually one of my favorite gloves. The style of this glove is great. It's nice and symmetrical. It's definitely a power puncher's glove. And when people say power puncher glove, is that they mean the latex on these is very dense. So it's more of a harder type of surface of glove. It's not soft like a winning glove. It's not soft like a, I guess another soft glove could be. Maybe even some of the Grant ones. It's not really made to be like a nice, I guess, safe glove when it comes to hitting someone with these. But for pad work, band work, definitely one of the best gloves you could get. The feedback on this is great. You get a nice, good, crispy sounding snap when you hit the pads and when you hit the bag, which is something that many power punchers or someone who likes to throw quick combinations likes to get that feedback. Also, this glove is the pricing on this, not really too bad. It's not the most cheapest glove, but it's definitely not the most expensive glove. Normally you can find these gloves on Amazon for the most part. Actually, we could take a look at them right now, and I think now if you look at them, they range between like $90 to $120, you know, at the timing of this video, which isn't too bad. I actually got this glove specifically because I like the style of it, and I think they were only like $89.99 at the time. I get 16 ounces because I'm a big, you know, I'm a heavier guy. I'm 6'2", I weigh 215. So for me, 16 ounces is normally like my nice glove to at least do back work on them. So these are about, okay, $99.99, which isn't too bad, but it's definitely worth the investment, because for what you're getting, you're getting an all leather quality material glove as well as the inside of the lining, which is one of the best ones that you can actually find in the market. And it's definitely not the most cheapest one you can get, but I would highly recommend this one out of any other glove that you're gonna get now, because if you're gonna spend, let's say, $60 to $70, you might get a good synthetic leather glove, which aren't the worst either, but leather for sure is always gonna be more durable. It's gonna look better, and it can definitely take a better beating compared to other gloves like synthetic gloves. So let's talk about the hand compartment. I personally have bigger hands, longer fingers, I would say, and I've always had a problem where some gloves would be too cramped. So instead of forming like a full fist like this, sometimes it would kind of just form to like right there, the tightest I could get them on certain gloves, and normally that could lead to an injury. And for me, when I was younger, when I would box, and I didn't really know too much about what glove quality was, or like what's a good glove for me. I would end up getting more like scrapes on my knuckles here, kind of like by my finger knuckles, not these, but more like up here, and then even here on these fingers. And what tends to happen when you can't form a good fist is that instead of landing kind of like this, how you're supposed to, with your knuckles connecting on the pad or the bag, you might end up hitting the bag like this, and you'll end up actually, instead of punching, you're more like slapping, and you're slapping more with your hand, which could end up contacting this part of your hand and then the fingers, or like the knuckles right on your finger, like middle of your fingers, and then you start getting bruises or cuts here. And believe me, it's not fun. It's probably one of the worst things that could happen, because it will take time to heal, and it will take time away from your training when it comes to doing any type of pad work or bag work. Believe me when I tell you, I've been a victim of that for so long, especially when I was younger. I would always have that trouble, and I always blamed it on my gloves, thinking it was that, which it is. It could happen. Maybe the glove is just too small, or maybe it needs a good break-in period, but for the most part, this glove, the Fairtex ones, never really gave me that issue, because the hand compartment is nice and snug, but it's wide enough and long enough for my hand to actually form a nice natural fist. And when you start to actually get a good fist, get a good form in that glove, it'll be easier to break it down, and you'll notice that your punchings are actually going to become stronger, faster, and you'll notice kind of a better feedback when you're actually landing with your knuckles, because when you actually land a correct punch, you can actually bounce off that punch. Even if you miss or hit, you can bounce off of it, pull yourself back, or follow through with it and just rotate your hips and get out of there too. But definitely, I would say this glove is definitely a good puncher's glove. It'll teach you proper hand placement, as well as teach you how to actually land a good punch, because you'll know if you're messing up with this glove. I'm telling you, you'll either get those little bruises here on your fingers or your knuckles, but if you form a good fist and you break them in good, you'll notice that your punching power is going to increase, and your accuracy and hand placement will definitely get better with these gloves. Another great feature about this glove is that it has a dual grip bar, and the dual grip bar normally works for just giving your hand a better grip on forming a fist. And normally most gloves have one grip bar in the palm area, so when you fold your fist over, your palm is kind of hugging that grip, and it's kind of like you're holding something in the middle of your hand while you're wearing that glove. This glove though has two of them. It has one where the palm is, but it also has one at the very end where your fingertips meet, and that gives it a nice little extra, like, nice tight feature and grip, where the glove won't slide when you're punching, or when you're getting all sweaty inside. Your hand won't really be sliding back and forth in the glove, so you won't always end up having to pull the cuff of the glove back up, because your hand is either slipping outwards or it's going too inside, where the hand just kind of loses its placement. So one very great feature about this glove that not many other gloves have is the dual grip bar, and that's one major factor, that the reason why I really love this glove, especially if you're a bigger guy, you have longer hands or fingers. This will for sure be a game changer when it comes to actually gripping that glove, because for me, I've always had some issues where my hands would slide back and forth in the glove, especially, like I said, if it's loose lining. That would also be a big factor of having your hands slide back and forth, but this glove does a immaculate job resisting that of ever happening. And for me, that's just a big game changer when it comes to the overall quality of the glove and just the overall feel of the glove. And for me, that's just one thing that I love about this, and I think it's a very, very, very unique feature that this glove has. And honestly, Fairtex knocked it out of the park with that feature that this has. Another thing that I do enjoy about this glove is the style. So for me, I like more plain color looking gloves, more like a solid color. And for me, I've had pairs of these. This is probably maybe my 5th pair or 4th pair that I've had of the same specific glove. And the reason I keep going back to this one is because out of all the gloves I've had, even the most expensive ones like Cleto Reyes and Winnings, they're great gloves. I'm not taking anything away from them, but sometimes the durability on those weren't the best compared to this one. And this one, for some reason, can take more of a beating. And I hit a little bit harder. For the most part, I think my punches come out a little bit harder, especially on the bag and especially on the pads. So these gloves do definitely can take a beating. And I'm a sweaty guy. I do sweat a lot when I'm doing any type of drills or any type of like exercise, especially when it comes to like cardio. I'm like dripping sweat. I normally like puddles where I'm at, but that's just something that I've always had even when I was young. And these gloves can dry pretty quickly as long as you take the extra step, just wiping them down, opening them up. Don't throw them in your gym bag right away. Kind of set them aside and just let some air to go in there and just let them kind of dry out pretty quickly. And for the most part, they dry out pretty fast. But again, I would definitely say just wipe them down when you can after your workout. Try not to leave any sweat on the actual leather, because once the leather or once the sweat starts to dry on the leather, it'll kind of start leaving some, I guess not residue, but it'll start to mark the leather up. It'll leave it kind of rough, like little rough patches here and there, which isn't the end of the world, but just wiping that sweat off when you're done will definitely increase the durability and the lifetime of your glove. You can get other gloves on the market, but I would at least recommend, even if you're starting out, you can get one of the cheapest Everlast ones. You can find them at Big Five and stuff like that, or any sporting goods store for the most part. But those gloves normally won't last you the longest unless you're doing like light pad work, like bag work, or doing more like aerobic boxing or shadow boxing. Then those gloves would be, pretty good for what you're gonna do. But if you kind of get more into the sport, or you increase your intensity on the exercises, I would say get something that's at least synthetic leather or just leather in general. I for one would, just my opinion, I would always recommend get leather. I just think leather just looks better. It smells good too, and the durability on those you really can't beat. It's just gonna last you a longer time. You can wipe them down easier, and it's just gonna be a better glove overall. Instead of spending like $50 on one glove that's gonna last you maybe like 2 or 3 months and then gives out on you, you're gonna end up spending another $50 or maybe even more to find a decent glove, or at least a little bit of a better glove, and you end up spending a lot more than just what you would in the beginning. For like $100 to like $90, you can get at least one good glove that'll last you a while. So the next topic, sparring. These gloves are, like I said, more of a puncher's glove. You can spar with these. For me personally, since I weigh about 215, 16 ounces for sparring with these would be not really the safest thing for my opponent or my partner. I would need to at least get something that's at least 18 ounces in this specific glove. But let's say I grab like a Winning glove or like a Grant glove that's more for sparring. 16 ounces on those might be a little bit better, because some of those offer more padding and like a softer padding instead of a nice dense padding like this one has. And this one's a little bit of a harder surface, so for sure you're gonna end up hurting someone using these. But again, it depends on your gym, depends on your coach. If they're okay with you sparring with these, by all means go for it, and you'll probably have fun using these. But for the most part, for me, I would probably feel better using this specific model in this glove in the 18 ounce than the 16 ounce, because 16 ounces, like I said, it is a puncher's glove. You will get that nice good feedback on this, and you'll definitely feel the heavy bags and your knuckles really piercing through this glove. So just a quick breakdown. Price of these, they're under $100. You can find them on Amazon. Cheapest ones I think you could find are maybe like $80, $85 at most. Most expensive I could see in it range, it could go up to like 100, 110. I think the most maybe 120, depending if you're getting like a limited edition color or if you customize them directly from Fairtex.com. It's really up to you. For me, I just personally like solid colors, and Amazon normally tends to carry a good amount of colors and styles, so definitely look into them. If it's something that you're on the market for and you're trying to find at least a decent glove or a glove that, you know, will be worth your investment, I would 100% recommend this one out of any other glove, even over Winning and even over Cleto Reyes. Honestly, I think for what you're paying for, you're definitely getting your money's worth on this one. And I think this glove will for sure last you, you know, even for years to come if you really try to take care of them. For me, I just go through gloves pretty quick because, like I said, I sweat a lot and I do a lot of back work. I would say maybe 5 to 6 times a week in pad work. So that's just one thing for me personally. That's just what I like to do. But if you're really, really into it, I would highly recommend the Fairtex BGV9's Mexican style gloves. I've always gone back to this one and I stand by my word. I would definitely recommend this to anyone, even if you're a beginner and you're starting out and you want at least like a good decent glove, but not spend, you know, like a lot of money on them, but spend like a decent amount. I would say definitely invest in one good pair of gloves because you won't waste any more money on buying other pairs or having that one glove give out on you quickly, or having the foam rip, or having it bubble, which can happen with a lot of cheaper gloves just because they're not the most durable gloves, you know, built when it comes to that price range. But if you're willing to spend between $80 to like $100 or a little bit more, highly recommend the Fairtex gloves over any other glove that's not leather, or at least even synthetic leather. But for me, I would still say leather is probably your best bet, and I think it'll probably last you. Out of all the other gloves on the market, this one will be the best one. Thank you guys for watching the video towards the end. I really do appreciate it. This is my first one, so I'm still learning the ropes on how to make, you know, a better presentation and quality of the video. So if you guys have any recommendations or tips, please feel free to, you know, put them below in the comments. Also, feel free to share this video with any friends or family who might be interested in looking for a boxing glove, or if they're in the market of buying new equipment. I will also be making more videos in the future about other equipment that I've used, kind of give you my honest opinion about them, and just feedback firsthand of what I've experienced, and hopefully it can help you determine if it's something that's, you know, worthwhile for you, or if it's something that you might want to get in the future. I also will cover other different things, maybe do other videos and different kind of content. So just, you know, stay on the lookout for my YouTube channel and see what kind of uploads I might put up next. But I'm definitely trying new things, so if you guys have any more input, again, feel free to comment below. Or if you found a different glove that works for you, let me know what kind of glove it is, because I would definitely like to learn a little bit of what other gloves might be out there that might be better for you, and maybe I might be able to try them out in the future. Again, thank you guys for watching, and hopefully soon I'll be able to upload more videos. Thank you. Peace.